How's it going, everybody? I am Dom of X, comicreleases.com assistant editor, and today I'm trying out something new. I'm going to be doing 3 of these holiday guides for... Alright, so I have a couple of guidelines set up for this holiday list that I thought, hey, you know what? This could be a little fun. And hopefully it isn't too confusing for all of you guys. If it is, let me know down in the comment section below. I'm going to go ahead and list some guidelines. The first of this is 5 books to buy for others. 5 books to buy for yourself, and 2 that can fit in both category. Now this is all completely ancillary. This is something that I am going to push as hard on the new reader, the old reader, if you are watching my channel and are a fan, or if you are brand new and are very much into comics, and 2 that I think can work in both categories. So this one is completely up to interpretation, but I wanted to split the guide so you could find some books to maybe give to others. The books have to be under $50, and the books have to be in print. If the book is out of print, that means no bueno. So this doesn't have any omnibuses. This doesn't have, unless there's a $50 omni that I'm currently unaware of that's in print. The list also has to include one of the brand new DC Compacts and one of the brand new DC Finest editions that just came out not too long ago. Yes, these thick ones. Now, the last part of these holiday guidelines that I thought was the most fun for me personally was figuring out continuity. Continuity at DC is so vast that I could do an entire YouTube series about it. But in the case of this video, I'm just going to lay it out simply. DC has had 2 super big resets for their universe. One in 1985 with Crisis on Infinite Earths, and one in 2011 with Flashpoint. We're going to be focusing on the 2011 part. If a book was in mainline DC continuity, that is post-New 52, and then you got pre-New 52, which is everything else right before 2011. So for the sake of these guidelines, we have 4 picks from post-New 52 continuity, so anything from New 52, Rebirth, Infinite Frontier, and down to DC. We got 4 comics published in pre-New 52 main Earth continuity, anywhere from 1938 to 2011, right before New 52 hit, and 4 wild cards. This could be any continuity, not just in DC, but I'm talking about Elseworlds and stuff that isn't mainline. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the list. Alright folks, let's go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to try to do these in under 2 minutes or less, see if I can pitch it to you guys with the guidelines. The first of which is going to be under the Give to Others tag and set in post-New 52 continuity. This is the Birds of Prey Volume 1 Megadeth by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero. This is one of my favorite ongoings at DC at the moment, and it features the all-female premier superhero team at DC Comics, led by none other than Black Canary, with one of my personal favorite new gods, Big Barda, along with Cassandra Cain, Zealot, and Harley Quinn, who actually plays a part, and a very funny one indeed at that, in this specific book. There's also a couple of guest appearances, and it also does feature a great jumping in point to the brand new DC universe, along with a lot of these characters, because I think Kelly Thompson has given all of these characters a great voice. And on top of that, how would the dynamics of the team work with a bunch of different personalities? This is definitely a plus for anybody to get into regular DC continuity, and also just is a very fun book in general. Leonardo Romero does a heck of a job illustrating the book. And on the next part, we are going to go under the Share for Yourself guideline. This is also going to be set in post-New 52 continuity. Up next on the guidelines, we are going to cross off one of the Share for Yourself books, and I think something that should be on everybody's bookshelf, and that is Monkey Prince Volume 1, Enter the Monkey at $24.99 with Gene Luen Yang and Bernard Chang. This is set in current DC continuity. The reason why I put this in is not only is this an AAPI-led book, all of the creators on this title, writer, artist with Bernard Chang, colorist with Sebastian Chang, and letterer Janice Chang, they are all AAPI creators. On top of that, this is an introduction to the set-off legendary post-Monkey King right into the DC universe. So not only is this a reshaping of the mythology for this specific Chinese superhero to appear in the DC universe, this also is filled with lots of great guest appearances, and boy, is it fun. Gene Luen Yang is one of my favorite writers in the industry, if not my favorite writer. He has written so many amazing things, including American-Born Chinese, Shang-Chi, Superman Smashes the Klan. I could go on, but I think this deserves a look, and this is one of my top picks as well. Next up on the list on the Give to Others part of this guide is Plunge from Hill House Comics, $17.99 by Joe Hill and Stuart Immonen. This is one of the wild cards, so check that off the list. So this is one of the Hill House comics. This is part of their, or former Hill House Comics line, a line all focused on horror, and my goodness, it is terrifying. This is also drawn by Stuart Immonen, who is responsible for creating the modern Marvel house style, and also said he was going to retire a couple of years ago. So if you are into strongly illustrated books, just like Birds of Prey with Leonardo Romero, this is going to be a set for you two to give to someone else. This has to deal with a vessel called the Derlith that is sent off into the waters in between Russia and Alaska, and this marine biologist named Mariah Lamb has to figure out what the heck happened to it. Well, you don't want to know what comes out of those caves, and this is one that will definitely leave you daunted. Hope we get a deluxe of this soon. This is Stuart Immonen, guys. Come on. Up next, we do have the Share for Yourself, and if this book isn't in your collection already, what are you doing? This is Batwoman Elegy, the 2024 reprint edition, 1999, by the legendary hands of Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams. This is a comic set in pre-New 52 main Earth continuity, which is New Earth. So this is going to be one of those ones that isn't set in the ongoing straits right after Flashpoint. This is a legendary masterpiece of both writing craft, along with J.H. Williams being the most experimental I think he had up until that point. If you looked at what J.H. Williams was doing on Batman, what he was doing in this specific 6-issue arc of Detective Comics, it is absolutely tremendous to say. I mean, I can't even explain it. On top of that, this is not only a title that is set right after the 52 weekly event. This does pick up on some threads where Kate Kane is establishing herself back into main DC lore, and who better to do it than Greg Rucka setting the table for what would be one of the greatest Batman related stories ever told. And I hate saying it's Batman related, but I guess for all the people who might not know, this is definitely one that you should have on your list regardless. And we are going to take a bit of a crack at both, so remove that give to others and share for yourself. Do both. Buy 2 of this. And this is the DC Finest Batman Year 1, Year 2 trade paperback. This is also set in pre-New 52 main Earth continuity. This is, I think, DC's strongest title that they have laid out so far for their finest line. You want to talk about great jumping on point, you want to talk about great storytelling, great art, and what better way to have it than DC's Batman Year 1 by the legendary Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli. This is it. There's also a lot of strong writing in here with Max Allan Collins on Batman, Mike W. Barr on Detective Comics, and an Alan Moore annual that I forgot to mention in 2 overview videos. How does that happen? So on top of that, you are getting the best, I think, of what Batman was getting offered at in DC continuity up until this point. We're going to take a bit of a dive here with the third Give to Others book, and that is none other than Teen Titans Year 1, the 2024 edition. Now you're asking me, why this Year 1 book and not any one of the other DC origin stories? Well, I have something to say about that. I already have a Year 1 in Batman, so I need something else to take and coincide. But not only that, this is going to set in a modernized version of the original Teen Titans and their upbringings and their awkwardnesses and them needing to grow up as characters. Donna, Garth, and Wally, Dick Grayson. These are the original Titans, not the 05 that you see on the 2003 show. So I think giving this to somebody would give them an easy leeway to get into these characters and figure out who the Titans actually started off with and how they are like in the comics. I unfortunately don't believe the Marv Wolfman book 1s are in print anywhere. I remember buying it for a friend. So this, I think, was the next best thing. Next up, we're going to cross off one of the last set pieces. We did a DC Finest at first, and we got a DC Compact in now, and that is DC Compact Catwoman, Trail to Catwoman by Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook and others. This is the 2002 Catwoman set continuity. It was up to Darwin Cook to revitalize the character with Selina's big score, and my goodness, is it big here. This is the run where she dons her most famous and my favorite suit of any era of Catwoman. This is filled with lots of fun Selina writing, and on top of that, the goodness of the art is too much to pass up. This is early Ed Brubaker. I do think that this is the most accessible Catwoman to get into in any pre-New 52 continuity. If you know a Selina fan, I will guarantee you that you are going to have a very, very fun time reading it. Let's go ahead and delve into the bit of the both and the last one of this set. And this is Saga of the Swamp Thing, Book 1 by Alan Moore and Stephen Bissette. We don't get the absolutes and many stories if we don't get this here. The story with this is that Alan Moore was hired by Len Wein, and when Alan Moore, who wanted to work with DC for a couple of years, Len Wein called him, and he thought he was a prankster, so he hung up. Well, I'm glad that Alan Moore decided to call him right back, because we would not have gotten a cavalcade of stories in the industry that we're in without this Swamp Thing book. Tremendous artwork, tremendous storytelling, and a wonderful set piece to the eventual building years, what would be Vertigo. This is one of the transformational comics, and at the book 1, it is well enough under the $50 price point. This also would be a great gift to somebody who was trying to get into the horror aspect of DC. And Abigail Arcane. Who doesn't like Alec Collin, guys? This is one for the ages. At number 4 for the give to others, this falls into the any wildcard, any continuity. And this is Jurassic League by Juan Gideon and Rising Daniel Warren Johnson. I love dinosaurs, and I love the weird kooky things that you can do in comics. This is all guided by the hands of DWJ. Now, while he doesn't do any art in here, Juan Gideon, I think, was the perfect guy to pair up with him on this comic book. Anything that has to deal with prehistoric characters and mixing and amalgamating them with modern versions of something is already going to be a plus for me. I love the Land Before Time movies, and I think anybody who is trying to get into comics and seeing how wacky things can get, I think they'd appreciate this too. And on top of that, you don't really need any history or knowledge of whatever it might be. Just know that these historic creatures roamed the earths once a long time ago. It's a lot of fun. And at number 4, we're going to give another book to yourself. This is set in post-New 52 continuity, and this is The New Champion of Shazam by Josie Campbell and Doc Shaner. Now, when the series ran, there were a lot of delays because of Doc Shaner's tremendous artwork, but I'm really glad that it finally finished and we got to this point. This is an absolutely gorgeous looking book from the hands of Doc Shaner, and Josie Campbell writes Mary Marvel well as anybody. And I thought right after they finished Jeff Johns' Shazam that they would never return to any of these characters, but I think movie synergy, on top of the willingness for guys like Kevin Shinnick and later Josie Campbell, and now Mark Waid, back to Josie Campbell again, have given people a runway to say there are people who love these characters set in Philly, and they can make the New 52 continuity this different type of Shazam work in the context of the rest of the DC universe. This is a very fun growing of age story with Mary Marvel dealing with college, and this was something that I definitely gravitated to, but I think that you guys should pick it up as well because it's just a great coming of age story, one illustrated exceptionally well. And the last to give to others and falling under this list is Action Comics Volume 1 Warworld Rising by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Daniel Sampier. Starting off the legendary Action Comics, I very much felt like a mix of the Exile Saga on top of the Golden Age Superman blended into one. Challenge new readers. I think this is a perfect jumping on point for anybody who's trying to get into Superman that might go, this character can do everything. He's invincible. They're going to get their heads turned on a swivel because this was definitely a challenge, not only for PKJ, but to also challenge the reader that you could create a Superman story with all of the quote-unquote restraints and still develop something incredibly well. And credit to everybody on that team. And also, it's $16.99. It's going to get you into Superman, and it's also main continuity. Main post-New 52 continuity. And last but not least, as far as the share for yourself goes, and a big sampler because we don't have any of the smaller trade paperbacks, we're going to go with Doom Patrol Book 1 by Grant Morrison and Richard Case. This is one of my personal favorites from Grant Morrison and what they've done at DC. And I had read it because I wanted to get a little bit of a sideline knowledge before getting into the Doom Patrol show. I'm so glad I did. This is wacky turned on 100 with the most insane characters and designs and villains that you could think of. If you would have told me that the Scissormen and a fourth world breaking weird stick man would envelop me inside a comic book, I would have told you, hey, there's no way. the way that Grant Morrison was able to spin and seeing what they did with not only the villains, but also the reimagining of the Doom Patrol right after the pages of Tom Payer in the first 18 issues of Doom Patrol. The craziness of this story is, I think, what elevates the Vertigo title. And for that reason, if you have not picked the omnibus up and or are on the fence on it, this is one you need to pick up, because Grant Morrison is a legend and does a fantastic job with Doom Patrol.
If you haven't yet, check out our website, comicreleases.com, my and Webhead's love letter to comics, a hotspot where you can finally figure out what's coming out, when, from what place. Our unique upcoming website tracker in the Collected Editions tab makes sure that you're on top of every single collected edition coming out on the market, with release date updates to the minute, from the tiniest graphic novels to the giant Generator Deluxe hardcovers as large as an absolute. Our unique spreadsheet not only gives out the most accurate information out there, but our format also filters and ensure that you can find your books as quickly as possible. The tracker also gives out links to domestic and international retailers so that you can purchase your comic books at the snap of a finger. We are also proud to host monthly solicitations as per given by the publishers that generously send us information to give to you all. From the Ultimate Universe to the creator-loved Oceans and Universes, we specialize in giving you the most readable format of solicitations without any of the annoying advertisements. If you also donate to our Patreon at just $2 a month, which is less than a coffee at Starbucks, you will receive access to a special watch list dedicated to individually tracking items that are on your wish list, past or present. Place in your tracking number and make sure that these books also not only come in safe, you can even put in special comments on these as well. On top of that, your name will also show up at the end of every single Dom of X video creates as a huge thank you. That is comicreleases.com. For more information, check this out down in the description. If you also want to contact me or Webhead, check the contact forms down in the description, or email me down in the description.
But that's going to be it for me on this video. Did you guys like this format? I'm planning to do Marvel soon, sometime this month. If you have folks who are maybe not getting into comics, this is, I think, the best way to get them in, roll them in. So let me know in the comment section below if you agree, disagree with my picks. Did I miss on anything? I wanted to highlight some comics that haven't been highlighted by others before. I know that also Superman and others would have been easy for me to put on here, but I wanted to be a little bit different from the mold. So that is going to be it from me. But that is all. I am Dom of X. You be you. Take care. Dominate the day wherever you go.